Even though a discerning devotee may continuously strive for perfection, the sense urges may forcibly influence the mind. Now with meditation, what you're learning to do is to not necessarily force out the senses from your awareness. What you're learning to do is to bring your awareness within so that the senses no longer influence you. The senses are always bringing information from your eyes, from your tongue, your ears, your skin, bringing information in through your nose. And they're doing it automatically. It just happens. And the reason that it is distracting for you is because probably most of your waking moments you're giving your attention to these sense urges. You're giving your attention to these senses. And so what that means is they are distracting you only by force of habit. And so what meditation is allowing you to do is pull within, disconnect from those senses so that you can exist as your eternal, immortal nature always, no matter what is going on the outside. Verse 61, having controlled the sense urges, the devotee should remain firm in yoga. Now, in the Gita, yoga means essentially superconscious meditative contemplation, which means you are awake, you are alert, you are witnessing, and you are at peace. That is what we're talking about when we mean yoga here. Intent on the supreme reality. For that one whose senses are mastered, intelligence is firmly established. In this line, intent on supreme reality, that's what we want to focus on. When you're meditating, oftentimes people come into the spiritual path, spiritual practices, because they want to escape problems within their life, most of the time. Okay? Some people are, really love God so much that as soon as they pop out of the womb, that's all they want to do is worship God. But most people have experienced sorrow and suffering, and they want to escape from that sorrow and suffering. How do you do that? It's been promoted as meditation, that meditation is a practice which transforms your consciousness. But what a lot of people do is when they're meditating, they are focusing more on the problems they're trying to get away from rather than the state they're trying to experience. So, intent on the supreme reality. That means when you meditate, I don't care what problems are in your life, I don't care what distractions you have, you set aside that time to ignore them. You set aside that time to direct your attention within, to experience, or at least endeavor to experience, that supreme infinite reality, or God, or the divine infinite consciousness, whatever word you want to use. And at first, you will have an idea of what that is like. Like Yogananda, when he would worship a form of the Divine Mother. All right? When I first got involved in these practices, I was very much into Shiva. So that was my way of conceptualizing this divine state and projecting it so that I could attune to it and experience it. And these gods and these goddesses and these forms that we have in our mind, they're just like icons on a computer. So on the computer screen, you move your mouse and you click on the icon for Microsoft Word or whatever it might be. That icon is not the program, but it's how you get to the program. Okay? Same thing. However you conceive God, however you conceive of the divine, that is your icon. You focus on it in meditation practice, it carries you through to the actual experience. So, wherever you are, however you conceive God, the infinite consciousness to be, start there. But know that whatever you conceive it to be is not it. It's inconceivable. You can't conceive it. That is where you start until you're able to flow your attention beyond conception and merge with what it really is. So, start where you are, but don't get hung up on the form. Don't get hung up on the form. Allow yourself to go beyond the form. All right? And be intent on that form. Going back to the earlier point. Don't meditate to escape from your problems. When you meditate, just tell yourself, I'm not going to pay attention to them. If they come up, that's just like the sense urges. They come up, they get in your way, it's just by habit. Turn yourself away from them. They come up again, turn yourself away from them. They come up again, keep doing that until you're able to hold firm on whatever you're meditating on, the supreme reality that you're contemplating. In time, it becomes extremely easy. It just takes practice. And once those senses are mastered and you're able to easily ignore those things, then you can act in the world from a state of yoga, from a state of poise, from a state of tranquility. Because most people, when they're going through life, are reacting to stuff they have stored within their consciousness, their mind, their emotions, and whatnot. Something happens, they're not reacting to the present moment, they're thinking about something that happened to them a long time ago. When you can pull away from that and something comes up, it might come in that a button has been pushed or a trigger occurs. But for someone who's practicing yoga, they say, there's the trigger. But I'm going to remain in the present moment and I'm going to react appropriately. And the more you're able to do that, the less the triggers arise, because you're not giving them your attention. That's the key. Don't give them your attention. Now, verse 62. When one mentally dwells on objects of the senses, attachment to them is produced. From attachment comes desire, and from desire anger is born. How many of you have thought about meditating, but you thought to yourself, well, maybe after I watch this TV show, or maybe after I go and do thus and so, or maybe I need to do something else first. So what's going on there is you are giving your attention, you are dwelling on the objects of the senses above the supreme reality. Whatever weird thoughts you have in your mind that you tell yourself that you need to do something else before you meditate or before you can focus on the supreme reality. If you're meditating and you have all this trauma inside of you and you're telling yourself, I just really need to deal with that first. Now, if it's debilitating trauma, sure, go see someone to help you get over it. But if it's something that just keeps recirculating over and over again, you need to practice breaking that cycle yourself. And the way you do that is direct your attention to the form of God, the form of the divine that you are most interested in, that you can contemplate more clearly. And the more you do that, essentially what's happening is you are shifting your habits from being focused on outward sensations and bringing it into the internal self. And to be self-realized means to be aware of yourself all the time, knowing who and what you are all the time. It doesn't mean you don't do, normal people things. It just means that while you're doing those things, you know what you are always. Okay? All the time. So you don't have to be meditating to experience self-realization. That's where you start. That is training. That is practice. But what you're doing is you're moving to experience that all the time. And in Lahiri Mahasayas' commentary on the Gita, he says in there that even after a person has experienced self-realization, God realization, cosmic consciousness, they still need to practice their Kriya, or their meditation practice. Because we live in a world where there is light and there is dark and there's alternating forces always going on. So if you stop doing your practice, it's essentially like stopping taking a shower. Okay? If you quit taking showers, you're going to get dirty. Okay? If you stop practicing meditation after you're cleaned up, if you stop doing it, it'll come back in. That dirt will attach to you again. And on one level, it is possible that you can stop meditating after you've figured it out, and the dirt will come back in and you'll just be all dirty and you'll know it. You'll be self-realized and you'll say, well, I'm pretty dirty now. Okay? I'm generating more mental confusion, I'm generating more weird ideas in my head, but I still know what I am. All right? That's one thing that can occur. Or if you haven't reached that point to where you can maintain your state of clarity, what will happen? You'll just go right back down into the mess. All right? That's why even Lahiri Mahasaya, Sri Yukteswar, Yogananda, and Roy, that's why they all still meditate a lot. Well, I don't know about them, because I don't know. I don't know where they are, but I know Roy does. So you keep meditating to hold that state. And that way when you go, you are in that state, and then you're done. You don't have to worry about getting caught up in all the mess anymore, essentially.